Good morning. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 172. It is a great Sunday morning here. We've been playing Halo. We've got Nintendo Direct. We've got Dark Souls. Dan's going to talk about Kina. We've got stuff going on with Perfect Dark. And we've got one of our favorite guests in the house as well. So, I am your host, Dane Zaboden. Got Mr. Seven himself, bright and early this morning.
Right, buddy.
Mr. Rodriguez, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm ready to go. Mostly. I ate my sausage roll before we got on, so
okay, all right.
I'm good.
Sausage roll, Dr. Pepper, and Monster. Get your day going. Is that?
That's right.
Oof.
That's right. You gotta listen. It's all about balance. But you guys are over here talking about, I gotta watch my caffeine intake. Oh, there's too many calories. You know what? If I'm going down in a ball of fire. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. So that's me. That's what you get right here.
No regrets.
All for free.
Yeah, no regrets. No regrets.
Nope.
Your poor
Not
family.
Not one. Not one. My
Our
life
dad
insurance
went down in
policy
a
is
ball of
huge.
fire. We told him not to, but he insisted.
He just did it anyway. We couldn't stop.
Nope.
And
Enjoy
my other fine co-host, you know him as Ty Guy Travis. Good morning, sir.
McClunky, how are you, my fine man? My good, fine man.
Our intros have taken a dive since we
They
started
really
earlier
have,
on
yeah.
Sunday. That's for sure. Doing well,
good,
man.
I'm doing good. It's been a really crazy week for me. I did 2 reviews and a preview for IGN in 1 week. So
That's a lot in a week.
Yeah,
That's a
it was
lot.
a lot. I was on that grind, but it's good. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here after a lot of Halo and other games this week.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll be getting to it. So, returning for, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth time, I'm not sure. One of our favorite guests. Mr. Eric Jaxson himself, co-host, co-panel member on the Gaming Perspective and the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me, as always. Love being here with you guys.
Very good. Very good. So Dan said, Nick said, Seven is absorbing all the caffeine, so we don't have to. Thank you for your sacrifice, sir.
I do it. That's what I do.
Good morning, chat. Good to see you guys. We've already got a super chat come in from Mr. Luke himself.
Yep, Joe sucks.
Joe sucks. He's keeping it simple on Sunday morning.
His daily reminder.
Right. Gotta come in, starting that new week almost, and just want to remind everybody.
Just got to keep
Joe
it fresh.
Indeed sucks.
He continues to suck. Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it. Now keep playing Psychonauts and stop complaining about them talking. Good God. All right.
Wait. What happened? There's complaining about Psychonauts going on? We can't have this.
Luke was complaining that there's too much talking. I said it's a thing in games called story and characters, which he's not used to playing games like Avengers and Crackdown. So, trying to.
Luke.
Yeah, trying to.
That's some of the best dialogue in that game.
I know. I'm telling him, just go, keep playing.
Go
anyway. So speaking of currently playing, there's quite a few games out. I mean, it's a great time of the year, and I think this section's gonna grow as the year goes on because there's just so many games releasing. I in the past couple of days have played nothing but Halo, which we'll get to. But I did play, and I think I mentioned it last week. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. Tales of Iron. Did I mention that last week? It's a small indie game. It's Tales like a rat tail. You're a rat, and it's like a little 2D side-scrolling game that's kind of akin to like Salt and Sacrifice. So it's got it's difficult, it's challenging, it's got a little Souls elements to it, but not too much. And just a cute little story about this rat kingdom fighting off these invading frogs. It's kind of goofy, but it's actually. Yeah. I mean, what else?
Rats and frogs famously don't get along. Yeah.
But it's actually a really good game. I actually almost 100%. I did 100% it this week, and I'm going to write a review on it just because it was a fun little game. But it's something to check out. So keep an eye for that in the future. But anyway, on to bigger games. So, Dan, you want to touch on Kina, man? Dan's doing a review of Kina for us. You wrapped it up. You sent me some screenshots. I know you kind of gave me some early thoughts in DM, but what are you thinking on it, man?
Right. I mean, it's the thing that you see the most, I think, with Kina, especially on social media, and because it's got a phone mode, is just how gorgeous it is, and that is 100% true. It is one of the best looking games I've seen since the new consoles released. So it does have that going for it, which is nice. Once you kind of get down to it, though, I mean, it's really like I don't even know how to say this. It's remarkably like unremarkable. So if that's even a thing, it's you've played this game probably 100 times, in the past, probably all the way back to the N64 days. It's just you've played several games like it. It doesn't do anything, I think, spectacular where it like separates itself aside from the visuals, and a lot of those are the cutscene visuals, which are amazing. The photo mode is a little bit lacking when compared to, I think, some of the other photo modes out there, like Ghost of Tsushima and, even Red Dead. Not Red Dead. What's the other one? I don't know. But I mean, it's all right. I mean, it's pretty basic, a pretty basic photo mode, but it's a fun game. So there's fun to be had. I finished it, and this isn't 100%, but this is probably 70-80% in about 12 hours. I didn't find every single little rock person or whatever it was.
Right.
So I didn't get every single thing, but for $40, yeah, it's a nice little break from everything else. For Ember Lab's first, game, really, it's wonderful. They did a really, really good job. So I think the future is bright for that studio. But I'll give like my more deeper thoughts, I guess, in the review.
Sure.
But yeah, for $40, take a flyer on it. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good.
I've heard generally good things. It's reviewed pretty well. I think it's averaging like eights and a half. So that's really solid.
Not it's seasoned gaming. Eights. No, sure. I have no idea.
You played it too, Travis?
Yeah.
How you like it?
Yeah, it's okay. I sort of agree with what Dan said, actually. It's sort
He's
of,
like, actually, I agreed with Dan.
Yeah,
I can't believe this.
It's like
Where are we?
It's pretty basic. I was surprised to see it blow up so much, just because I played it and was sort of like, this is a pretty it doesn't do anything so new that I'm like blown away by it, but it's also a perfectly competent game with a pretty decent story so far. But yeah, my girlfriend was playing most of it, and then she just handed me the controller during boss fights because she has difficulty with those. But yeah, it seems like a pretty good game. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm gonna get through it. Other than that, I've been, like I said, working on reviews and previews, so I haven't been able to really choose my own games of late, except for Halo, which I've insisted on making time for. But I finished Sable last weekend, and then I went on to World War Z Aftermath, which I also reviewed this week. Sort of a expansion / re-release of the old World War Z game with 2 new campaigns, which is pretty fun if you like shooters. They added a first-person mode. It's pretty decent. And then I also did a preview for IGN for Dread Hunger, which is a adventure survival social deception game where there's 8 players and they're on like an old school boat doing like a exploration, and you have to basically help this big ship get through a dangerous stretch of water with icebergs and stuff. In order to do that, you have to like jump out of the ship and go explore caves and gather resources and all that stuff. But there's 2 people on your crew who are secretly occult dark magic users who are trying to kill everybody else. And so it's a very interesting, weird game where some people will just suddenly use spells to get cannibals to eat your face. While you're trying to help the rest of the group. So it's in early access on Steam, but IGN is doing a kind of exclusive preview on some of the basically the new update that's coming to the game. So that'll be live Wednesday. You can read my review and watch the video that I put together for it. So yeah, it's been a super busy week for me, but having fun. There's lots of games out there, and some of them I still haven't gotten to, like Psychonauts 2. I'm going to continue to get crap on the show until I play that game. So
Eric, tell him, man. Tell him.
Where is my window to play Psychonauts 2 with the Halo Flight 2 reviews and a preview in a week, man? I'm doing all I can. I'm going to get to it though.
We told you need a new heart, then you can drink caffeine and not sleep.
That's right.
It's not that hard, man. You make this way more difficult than it needs to be. Is Dread Hunger, what platform were you playing on?
It's on PC, but they want to bring. I played with the developers. It was like a preview, so the developers were there. But they want to bring it to console eventually. But it's technically still in early access on Steam, so I don't think it'll be coming out officially, like launching for a while. But it's got a lot of potential. It's just a totally unique game that mixes a lot of different elements, and it's got that problem where they give a character a gun, and if you're a player and you have a gun, you're going to want to shoot it at something, but they make all these different layers to make you not want to shoot that gun. Because if you outright try to kill someone, people will kill you. It's just everybody's on edge because they know there's traitors there, and they're trying to everybody's got to work together. And if you do anything suspicious, it gets real really fast. So I love games like that. The social deception genre is like my breakout genre for this generation. It's just so cool to see those games coming out. So
nice, very nice. Eric, what you been up to, man? Anything good?
Yeah, just a busy like month and a half with just life. So my gaming has taken something of a hit, and I finally finished the story on Psychonauts after weeks. Nice. I had planned to have that done. You know how that is, Ains. But yeah, life had different plans. Just started a new gig, added a new doggo, just dealing with some family stuff. So doing some cleanup now, getting the 1,000 gamer score in Psychonauts. But I've been loving that game like every inch of the way. So I'm not upset that it's taken me this long because it's a world that I just love being in.
Yeah.
So that's been good. And so other than that, just some of the Halo multiplayer, which we'll get into.
Okay.
But hopefully I'll have some time to get some stuff in because I have Deathloop lined up. I have Kena lined up. And just to kind of touch on what the guy said about Kena, I saw some people kind of pointing out, and this kind of reminded me of when ReCore dropped. They said it has like that. It doesn't do anything new, but it has that nostalgia feel. Like it feels like the game that you're familiar with. And someone actually said in the terms of Kena that it felt like Beyond Good and Evil for a modern day, right? Oh. So I guess there's
cameo, man. It really does.
More like cameo. I can kind of see that too. So
it's so weird.
Yeah. So if it has like that, if it has some home cooking, like I guess there's a place like for that, and you see potential for what these studios could do, which is why I kind of wish ReCore got a sequel.
Yeah,
or something, because I think the potential was there. It's just the execution is what kind of messed that up. Right?
ReCore is a really good parallel. Actually, I didn't think of that, but it sort of does remind me of ReCore and how it does some games. Although ReCore was more of like a hardcore game, like it part of it was like the challenge and the
right.
There's some hard sections of that game.
And I never actually finished it because I just kind of like lost patience with some of the things that it was doing. But I was like, man, there's a good thing here. Like, Jewel was a very interesting character, the bots, all that stuff. Yeah. But so I'm looking forward to getting into Kena to kind of see how that feels. But it looks gorgeous. So I can't wait for that.
It does.
It does look very good. I like the fur balls. The fur balls that you get around. Pretty cool.
The little
are those the things called the rot?
The rot.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a rot. Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't played it yet.
I kind of wanted to see what that kind of is because they're so cute, and then you hear their names are the rot, and it's kind of like it's interesting.
I think it's because they eat rotten things. I believe is the reason. Yeah, they eat like corrupted stuff. That's how they. It's like they're like little fur balls basically that eat garbage.
Adorable trash.
You use that to help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going around helping cleaning up all the trash, basically.
Okay.
Army of fur.
The farther you get, the more it gets explained. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
It is a bad.
Shout out to Lost Judgment, man. Also, the people are talking about in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm playing that too.
Dude, I need to get to that one, man. That's on my list.
It's so Yakuza. It's like the Yakuziest Yakuza game I've ever played. And I love it.
Yakuziest. That's got to be one of our adjectives from now on.
I like that. That needs to be like a t-shirt.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I jumped into that too. I finished Deathloop, by the way.
Okay.
Damn,
you weren't as high on it as some of us,
I mean,
right?
Still really good. Yeah. But also, I messaged you, I think, earlier, and I was like, if this happens, I'm out. And it for sure happened. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's almost like you can't get to that point in games anymore where you don't see that, the twist coming. Yeah. But it was still good. I still really, really like my time with it.
Well, obviously I reviewed it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I still think Prey is their best game.
Oh,
but,
I do.
Yeah.
Prey's amazing.
Yeah, Prey is legendary.
We're Arcane stands, so we can. we can go back and forth over Dishonored or Prey, or because they just both do amazing things.
Oh, I'm after revisiting Prey and playing Deathloop now. Like Redfall has jumped way up on my most anticipated games. Like, it's one of my highest now for sure. Someone in chat said Recore, Defloid said Recore reminded them a little bit of Metroid too. It did just, again, to your guys' point, it kind of gave off a vibe, right? Like an old school vibe. And the sad thing about Recore is it never really got a chance because it's another one of those games that launched in not a great state.
Bugs.
I know. And then it got polished up. They added a little content. They added that fourth bot. And they kind of relaunched it like a year later in better shape, but it's too late then. The interest is gone. You know what I mean?
And I thought that relaunch probably meant that we were going to maybe see a sequel or a sequel announcement. Guess not. Never did.
No way.
Well, and is it I always mess up his name. It's Inafune. The guy who created it, right? He's a legendary Japanese developer. I haven't heard his name since, unless I'm just missing it. Like, what is he doing?
He kind of went 2 and out because he was on Mighty Number 9.
That's right.
And then Record, and it's like neither one hit. And it's sort of like he went kind of radio silent after that. So, man. But you're right, legendary dude. So,
yeah, that's a shame. AKW, what's up, man? Good morning. All right. One other game I want to touch on, and Jordan's here, so he'll appreciate this. Halo Infinite matchmaking wrapped up last night. A bunch of us chatting, and Jordan had just finished. Our buddy who was on last week from Backlog Chronicles just finished Superliminal, which is a puzzle game that launched on Game Pass last week. He said it's only about 3 hours long or so. It's a pure puzzle game. You go room to room trying to figure out how to get to the next room. And it's very, very interesting so far. Both me and a couple friends were playing it last night, like as we were in party chat. And I was like, okay, this game's crazy. But again, it's one of those that's in, you might not have paid attention to it, but it's in Game Pass. If you like puzzle games, check it out. It's actually really, really interesting. So yeah, pretty cool.
You said it launched on Game Pass. I've owned that game for a while. I think it just came to Game Pass, but I think it's a couple years old.
Yeah, I threw the word launched around there. It was just it's in Game Pass. That's what I meant to say.
Hey, can I ask one question before we move on? I don't want to derail or anything.
No, you're fine.
This is an interesting discussion. We've been throwing out a bunch of different games and talking about different games that we've been playing, right?
Yep.
So I always kind of see on the timeline people will say, "Man, it's dry out here,"
or
you'll see people say, "This is the worst year that we've had in gaming," right? So where do you guys land on that? Because
who are you following?
Yeah, my timeline is the opposite. Yeah,
I have a huge mix of I have like Rainbow Coalition of followers and different personalities. So
I've seen that a few times, and I'm just baffled. I'm like, what are you doing? Because it's an amazing year for games. It really is. And I don't know. I think maybe part of it is a lot of the games that I've enjoyed the most this year have been not necessarily AAA. Right. So you talk about Psychonauts 2 is not really AAA. I mean, it's, I guess, AA, whatever you'd call it. But my favorite game of the year, you've got Death's Door. It's
fantastic.
amazing.
That game was so good. That's still high up in my game of the year.
Yeah, and it is for many people,
with Psychonauts 2. Yeah,
It Takes Two. I know another one people have up there. So there's just been some amazing games, but they're not these big budget AAA releases. Although I do believe, Biomutant's another one for me. I absolutely adore it.
I'm right there with you, bro.
Yeah, see, you just got to come on more, Eric. See, we're here. But Resident Evil Village was fantastic. Another smaller game, Little Nightmares 2, incredible game.
I still gotta get to that one.
Oh man, yeah. Knowing the games you like, you got to play that one. Yeah. But there's so many good games this year. I don't understand the mindset, and never mind what's to come. There's so many games about to come out too.
Yeah, I think the people who say that there aren't any games coming out are the types of people that really only play AAA games, because it has been a fairly bad year for AAA games, which have all gotten delayed and not really. Aside from Resident Evil Village, which because it's a horror game, it almost fits in a separate category from AAA.
And maybe Ratchet and Clank, was excellent.
Ratchet. I don't know if Ratchet and Clank is a AAA game. It definitely doesn't have the same like appeal that the big games that normally do. And then the big games are all getting delayed or pushed to next year and that sort of stuff. So maybe they're talking about that. But to those people, I would just say now is a great time to broaden your horizons of which games you play, because the AAA games haven't been the best games in the industry for a long time, in my opinion. I mean, they give a reliable, good experience, but they're kind of like, you know, the big blockbuster.
They're predictable
movies. Yeah, they're just they're enjoyment, but they're not anything that's like special or unique that's going to make you like change the way that you feel about a certain genre or a certain type of game. And just expand your horizons, man. That's what I say to those people. Not that any are watching this show. If you're watching this show, you probably play a lot, of games, including Death's Door and that sort of stuff.
Well, and as we're talking here, you know, Tales of Arise too, Returnal. I mean, there's just more games that are coming to mind as we're talking. So, morning, Mama, good to see you in the chat. What's up, Arch, Sark? Good to see you guys.
Hades
released for PlayStation, Xbox. Yeah, I mean, and we were just talking about Kena. Yeah, I don't get it, Eric. To your original question, I don't understand it at all.
What happened to Hitman 3, man?
Hitman 3. Yeah.
I think
you're here to remind me about Hitman. That's your job.
I gotta come.
Was that this year?
I think PC Mag just gave it like one of its top 100 games. I don't know if it was like this year or the. Well, it was like number 2 on the list. Number two on the list.
I got that one lined up too, Dan.
Get on it.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's
that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't have
maybe it was
time is what I'm missing, not the games. I'm missing the time.
The only games that released in January. That was their. Yeah, thanks. No.
I think Travis hit it on the head. It's if you only define gaming by like the AAA, the big budget stuff, then I can see the argument. But yeah, expand the horizon. There's so many good things out there.
You know what's funny? So we call Joe Mr. Bad Take, Dan, because he has such bad takes.
Yes.
There you go.
Man.
That seems like a bad take.
I mean, it wasn't me. I didn't put him on the list.
Dan's like, damn it, shut up, Joe. You're not helping my case.
Joe's fault. Yeah, can we get where's Luke at? I need another Joe Sucks super chat, please. So
I think Joe missed it. He came in late.
Oh man. That's because he
got
sucks.
A super chat from Mo here.
Yeah, yes we do. Do we? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, good morning, boys. Cheers to everyone watching. Sorry. Thanks, Mo.
Good.
I'm tempting you with that coffee cup, Ains.
I know, man. See, I'll have to make some decaf. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's what happens.
But so I don't know. I think it's been a great year for games. And then think about what's coming right now, right? We just had Diablo 2 Resurrected come out, a game that hardcore fans of Diablo have been asking for forever. That just released. We've got Far Cry 6 in 2 weeks. We've got Riders Republic's a new IP, and that's, again, a little more niche. But you've obviously got Halo returning this year. Obviously, Call of Duty. You've got Battlefield returning this year. Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Far from dry is the point Ains is making. It's far from dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so it was PC Gamer. This is all time. They put it number 2. I mean, as much as a fan of Hitman 3 that I am, I mean, that's insane.
PC Gamer is,
PC Gamer.
Yeah, you going to quote comicbook.com next, or what are we doing?
Yeah. I just saw it just popped up on my timeline. Yeah, I think because Hitman 3 retweeted it. It's in front of Red Dead Redemption.
Come
Apex
on.
Legends at 4. Get out of here with this garbage. All right,
you're not helping your case, Dan. Throw this out the window.
No, wait. I can't even deal with it. I mean, this got Disco Elysium as number 1, which, to be fair, is a really, really good game.
Really good game.
That's true. That's a really good game.
It's not
I might agree with that one.
But PC gamers.
Yeah, sorry, PC Gamer. You had me for a second, and then I started looking at your actual list.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, Witcher 3 at 9. Get out of here with that stuff.
Is Red Dead Redemption 2 even on PC?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It came like a year later.
I was very tempted to get it to try and play it in like ultra wide, with higher settings, but yeah. I did buy Witcher again. I have Witcher like 4 times, but
Witcher 3 is the best game.
It is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Agreed. Yep.
It's funny that I just said that and then 3 people agreed with me. Like, what are the odds of that happening? Like,
this has been a very agreeable episode today.
And everybody's like, yeah, that's correct. That's the right answer. All right, let's move on. We just solved gaming. There we go.
Witcher 3's top, and everything else is not as good. Solved it. There's your list.
I agree with that statement. Witcher 3 is the best game. I don't know.
Oh, man.
See Neo. Let's see if I can get Pepper to come on screen for
yeah,
Neo.
man. Get Pepper out here. I had
I prefer Peppy from Star Fox.
I had Paul, my puppy, join a show the other day, which was funny. So, good to see everyone. Neo's in the chat. Good morning, sir. Hope you are traversing some boyfriend dungeons this morning and you're doing well.
Well, he said it.
Oh,
Did he?
We went one episode without boyfriend dungeon.
Yeah, I know. I did one episode. We broke the streak. There's Pepper.
Hey,
What's going on?
Okay.
How old and what type of dog, man?
She's 9 months.
Okay.
Hey,
That's a great
hey.
thing.
And she's a Catalua leopard dog or leopard hound, and
Okay.
I believe she may have some form of terrier in her.
Okay.
She
know,
looks
but
like
they did.
Scooby-Doo.
They did identify, so she has like her little speckles and
Yeah.
a partial blue eye from her breeding, but
She's
I woke her up from a
adorable, man.
nap. Want to go back and nap? Go back and, all right,
Dogs are so ugly.
go back and nap.
Well, you don't. You're not going to come on to a show and say you don't like dogs, right?
I don't. I don't like
Yeah,
animals, to be honest
Don't
with
like
you.
animals. Okay. All right.
Humans are my least favorite, actually.
that we agree on. Yeah, we are right there.
So real quick story. I don't know if I told you about my puppy. So we buy this dog. It's from a rescue shelter, right? Because it was abused, right? And we meet it. It's super timid. Like it wouldn't even come near us because it's scared of everyone. It warms up to us. It looks really cute. It's black. It looked like a lab and collie mix, and that's what they thought it was, right? So adopt it, get it home, warms up to us, build a relationship with it, and it's growing bigger pretty quickly. And so we do the doggy DNA thing, right? Turns out it's a mix of 9 breeds, some of which are very rare, and 4 of the breeds are Mastiff breeds.
Wow.
So the dog is now on track to be anywhere from 110 to 140 pounds.
Oops.
And I'm like, we thought it was going to be like 60 pounds. I'm like, oh my God, we've messed up bad. We've messed up real bad here. So he's only he's less than 5 months old and he's already 40 pounds. And his paws are like,
But he looks so tiny, like when you post the pictures.
he does, because he's
look
got this
small.
like small head and this really cute face. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be an adorable dog right now. And he is. He's super timid and like really lovable. But if he wanted to, he's going to be an intimidating, huge dog. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
doggos,
anyway.
gotta love him.
Yeah. Anyway, back to games. We'll get back to games. All right. So, real quick, I just want to shout out because I know, Eric, I don't know where you are in this, but I know Travis and I obviously are big fans. But it was the 10th anniversary of Dark Souls this week. So, a decade since Dark Souls released. And wherever you stand on the franchise in terms of liking it, there's no denying the impact that it's had on the gaming industry. It's become one of the premier franchises in the industry. It has spawned countless clones and game mechanics and influenced, genres and games all over the place. So just pretty cool to shout out to From and Miyazaki and Dark Souls, and remind everyone that Elden Ring is 4 months away, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when that game releases other than take off of work for a while. So, Travis, I know you're a fan, man.
Yeah, very excited. I play. So is it the 10th anniversary of Dark Souls, or is it the 10th anniversary of Demon Souls?
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played Demon Souls. So when Dark Souls came out, it wasn't like completely new to me, right? Because I was one of the OGs, like in the Reddit of Demon Souls, being like, dude, nobody knows about this game, and this game is like crazy good. Like it's just got all this stuff. Not to be a hipster. I know that's your job, Ains, but I liked Dark Souls before it was cool. And but I will say, when Dark Souls came out, it was a totally different feeling, because I had pre-ordered that game because I'd played Demon Souls, and when it came out, I was like, all right, people are saying this is going to be one of the hardest games ever, and just like figuring it out and getting attacked by that dragon that first hour in Dark Souls, and like figuring out how to get past him and all that stuff is such an informative memory. I think I was in college still when that game came out.
All right, young buck, keep it down.
I know I'm young. I'm young. But yeah, I was in college, and I remember I got that game and I stayed up all night playing it in a room with a bunch of friends, and the friends were all doing their own stuff on like consoles or watching movies or whatever. I can't even remember what they were doing because I was just focused on Dark Souls. But I remember them looking over at me and going like, what game is this? And why are you playing it? Because they just kept seeing me die and not be able to figure things out. And I'm one of those guys, I never look up anything on the internet. Like
Yes.
I hate doing that for games. I hate it. And so my experience with Dark Souls was uniquely horrifying because I didn't even figure out the game had multiplayer until I think I was at like the Bed of Chaos. Like it took me forever to find out that you could even like get other players in your game or anything like that, just because I was never in a human state. I never had any humanity. I was just always undead because I was dying all the time. And yeah, it was just such a beautiful experience, like figuring out what that game was. And I still take Dark Souls 1 best Dark Souls game in the entire Souls franchise, and also probably in my top 5 games of all time. Like that game is
I thought you were a Souls 3 guy with me. No?
Oh, I love Dark Souls 3, but I think that's probably my second favorite.
Okay.
But Dark Souls 1, I think it gets credit for the way it's set up and its format of, that first bonfire that you're at and the branching paths, how it doesn't tell you where to go. I think the bosses are the best in that game of any of the other ones. And it also gets a little credit because it was like the first really, really good one. And by Dark Souls 3, they had sort of figured out the formula, but Dark Souls 1 is definitely my favorite one. And, and I see somebody saying Bloodborne in the comments. And
that's Joe. Joe's just a Bloodborne stan.
Yeah, he's got bad takes, but Bloodborne's the worst Souls.
Now, I'm between you guys. I think Souls 3 is the best. Bloodborne, I think, is actually second, although Souls 1's right there with it too. But I know you're not a Bloodborne guy. But regardless,
terrible. Not even close to Dark Souls 1. Like that's a ridiculous statement. So ridiculous.
Eric, do you? I can't remember. Souls guy?
Let me say, I might lose some street cred because I'm missing a couple in my resume that I haven't played yet. But I do love the Souls IP, and I 100% agree with you that it's amazing that when it started, because I didn't know about Demon Souls until I found out about Dark Souls, and then I had a friend who I was working with. He said, "Have you played this game, Dark Souls?" I'm like, no, I'm not even heard of it. I don't even know what it is. So we started talking about it. He's telling me about the dragon. He's like Travis said, he's on the bridge. Oh my God, this dragon's coming at me in this. I'm like, all right, sounds cool. So I picked it up, played it, fell in love with it. Cursing at Basilisk. I'm like,
of course, or they're cursing you.
Oh yeah. But it was like, I remember like when Dark Souls hit, it was that thing where everybody wanted to run away from it. Like you had those who ran to it, and then you had those that this is too crazy. So by the time we get to Dark Souls 3, it's crazy how it's become now like a mainstream thing to the point where it's born its own like genre where every game is it's like a Souls like.
Yeah.
Which is always funny.
Yeah.
So the gaps in my resume is I never played 2 because when it came out and it hit, people were kind of like, it's whatever. Yeah. And then when 3 hit, I was so busy with other games, I have never gotten to it. But I have the compendium, Steelbook compendium sitting over there waiting. So I'm going to get through all of them. I'm planning a binge along with all the Yakuza games. So I'm never going to get that done. I'll have to probably will it to my daughter to finish those games for me. But no, from that, I love the fact that it's taken off.
Yeah.
That it's become a thing where people aren't necessarily afraid of them like they were the first Dark Souls, like they've embraced them, and I definitely think you can have Dark Souls 3 to thank for that.
Yeah, and Sekiro I think helped with that too. Sekiro is extremely difficult in its own right.
I remember you had some words for Sekiro when
I did.
Did you not like it, Ains?
No, I rated it an 8. I thought it was a very good game. I didn't think it had the sense of one. I prefer RPG character creation, right? So like,
why do you like Bloodborne then? Bloodborne is not an RPG in any sense.
I know. We've talked about this. I know.
It's a hack and slash. It's like
it is. It's I agree with you. But it's got other elements that make it really good. Anyway. I think it didn't have the sense of one of my favorite aspects of the Souls games, and I tell people all this time. Well, 2 things really. One is that they have this very strange, hard to describe sense of mystery and discovery in them. When you're playing those games, you feel like you're in kind of a mysterious world where you never know what's going to happen next, and that every corner may hold a surprise for you. And there's very few games that give you that sense of awe in the same way. The other thing, and I say this all the time, and I don't mean it in a sarcastic way, the games are not as hard as people make them out to be. Mm-hmm. They take a different approach than most modern games. Most modern big games like that, you can save every 10 feet. You never have to replay anything. You know what I mean? It's the way gaming has gone. Whereas Dark Souls is more like a classic game in a new skin, where it takes some effort and stuff. But even if you die a lot, dying's not a bad thing in those games. It doesn't matter if you die. That's what people don't understand. It's like, when you die, you have to replay some of these areas. It's like, yeah, but say you kill like 10 enemies, right, and get to a boss and you die. You don't have to kill those 10 enemies again. You can run past them. You just go straight to the boss again. And there's so many things you can do where, you just have to get into the mindset. And I've told other people this. You have to get into the mindset that dying's not a bad thing. It's part of the experience of learning in Dark Souls.
Right.
And it's just very different from other games. And I don't think people can get over that hump. Yeah, it is. It's okay.
I think the reason I sort of disagree a little bit that people object to the deaths in those games. I think that people, because roguelikes are huge, and that genre is all about dying, and I think people have accepted that that's part of like the formula. I think Dark Souls, or the Soul series, the defining characteristic is that like they don't explain anything to you, and they make everything. That's the bigger barrier of entry, I think, because they don't like tell you like how to play the game, and multiplayer is always like hard to activate, and they don't tell you like which weapons are the best, and the stats are really confusing, kind of intentionally so, to make it like more mysterious and difficult to kind of figure out. I think that's the biggest barrier of entry for people who have trouble with the Souls games, and obviously other games like Sekiro and more recent ones have tried to like make it more understandable and digestible to a mainstream audience. Yeah, but still keeping like the deaths. But I'm not sure. I guess none of us can really speak to why people are turned off by it, because we all play these games.
Dan can.
No, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's everything you just said, and it's just super annoying. Like it's one of those genres that I have better things to do than waste my time dying 1,500 times. I have no.
Is it the dying though, or
but also no? It's that, and also there is no direction, like literally none whatsoever. Kina, this is going to be stupid. It's going to sound terrible, but it's got some Souls-like bosses.
It
like
really
the entire. Doesn't. Well, okay. See, this is the thing. That's the difference between me and you, right? Like I feel like in how they designed it, it's not hard necessarily. Right. But it's like, okay, you've got to be very precise with this. This is how you take out this guy specifically. Like all the entire, like every little person that you fight, in the small battles, it's just normal, beat them up, whatever. Then you get to a boss and it kind of changes up where it's a very specific pattern. It's a very specific, and that's what I think of when I think of Souls games. Like all these bosses, the big battles, have these very specific patterns that you have to figure out, and you have to be very precise.
That predates Dark Souls by a lot. Like
that's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said. It's an old game that you have to learn and get used to just learning from your deaths and mistakes.
But the difference is in Dark Souls games, when you get to the boss battle, the reason the stakes are so high is because if you die, you don't just spawn on the boss again. You spawn way far back, and you have to make the journey again. Sure. And Kina, you die. I was watching my girlfriend play boss. She died like 20 times and was just like respawning and doing the same fight again. So I mean, my site IGN already gets destroyed for comparing way too many games to Dark Souls, and I can't abide Kina being included in that. No. You can't say it says Souls like stuff.
It's not. I think it does. I think it does have certain elements, but it's just not. But that difficulty level for somebody like you guys, as opposed to somebody like me, is drastically different. I mean, I played on the normal difficulty the entire way through, and that's a challenge for me because, I mean, I'm just not good. So, like, it seemed really, really easy. Then all of a sudden you get to these bosses and you kind of have this really hard difficulty spike. I played through.
Have you considered getting good?
No. This is another one of those things where, like, that time has passed, and now it's just all downhill. So whatever happens. I have no desire to.
I just like to point out that you said Deathloop was too easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Is Deathloop too easy still, Dan?
Like Deathloop was one of those games where it was just like I couldn't understand like why things were happening. To like, why am I not done with this yet? Why am I not done with this yet? It wasn't that it was too easy or too hard. It was what it was. You made it what you made it based on your loadouts and how you wanted to tackle the game. So there was a lot of open stuff into that regard, but it wasn't. I don't know, man. All I know is that there's some Souls-like stuff in Kena to me, but your Souls-like and my Souls-like I think are two different things. The last boss,
I think my problem is that Souls-like has become a synonym for the game has some difficulty, and I just don't agree with that assessment.
But that's not what I said.
It doesn't have any of the Souls. It doesn't have like losing progress when you die, which is like, isn't that kind of the main thing with Souls? It doesn't have like the bonfire mechanic or anything it. It doesn't have enemies coming back or when you like rest or save, like all the stuff that Souls-like. And it sounds like when I have heard some people online refer to this as having Souls-like mechanics. And every time I'm like that, or every time I see that, I see that the thing they're talking about is the boss fights. But the Souls series didn't invent boss fights or health bars on bosses or dying on bosses. Like that stuff, I just can't abide that being associated as a part of the Souls-like genre.
I think in general, I think you're right. I think it is probably an overused saying, I guess, but based on what I've played, like Souls games are completely different than any other games that I've ever played, as in I have no time for them and they bore the hell out of me after, I literally played Dark Souls when it came out and I was like, this game is awesome. I really enjoying this. Got past the prologue, right? Get to the campfire. I pissed off whatever ghost was sitting there. And I literally died like 7 times because he was just mad at me for whatever I did. I said something to him or I smacked him in the face. I don't know what happened. I really don't. I have no idea what I did. And I would just spawn and die. Then I spawned and died. And that was pretty much the end of any kind of Dark Souls experience I had. I played some of 3. I think I beat the first boss and then I was done. I was like, then it turned into, okay, you beat this boss. Now here's this hub world or whatever that you go to, right? And here's all the stuff you can choose from. And it looks like I'm reading. I have no idea. There was so much stuff. I was just like, this is too much. This is too much. I love a good RPG, but this is too much. I don't understand what all this stuff does. I said, I'm down. I'm out. I'm good. I'm going to go back and play something super simple.
It wasn't the dying that made him turn away. It was the confusing game.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things about
that's the thing I always see turn people off from Dark Souls is the confusing game design is a huge barrier of entry.
I think
for me, it's part of the challenge. Like it's like
figuring out.
I understand that.
I think that's why it's more akin to older gamers, because older gamers were less hand-holding, and you had to figure it out on your own. There was nothing you could do but figure it out, and you didn't have much else to play, so you did figure it out. Dan is just the exception.
I am the exception because as you go farther in life, it's like, I don't want to do this again. I've already done this for 30 years. I want to hold my hand for a damn minute. I mean, that's all I'm asking. Show me a little bit.
Then you should play Dave. So it's all about holding your hand.
No, absolutely 100% not. We're going like 2 different ways. I can't even think about this right now.
Yeah.
No, that's the funny part because like I think like Travis is on the money with that when it comes to the game design is not new to like Dark Souls, because if you go back and play like the original Castlevania, that is definitely like stress inducing because you can get the Dracula who kills you and like go all the way back. I mean, now we have the save states built into the games, so if you ever just want to run through them, and I have a friend who's like a Castlevania like nut. He'll clear the game in 30 minutes, because he's got it to muscle memory. And I think Souls kind of does this like the same thing. The more you play through them, like Andy said, you can avoid things that are meant to throw you off. You can just get right past them. So let's say like bats in Castlevania, they come in, the pattern, jump past them, keep moving.
Yeah, it's trial and error. Trial and error.
So patience can be another boss in Dark Souls. So if you don't have the patience, 100%. I can definitely understand that. It can definitely take you out. And everyone's not built for it.
The biggest example of that is the fact that people have beaten all of the Souls games without even getting hit once. And that shows you how well designed it is, because
all my first runs.
But that's the point, right? It's trial and error, and you have to have patience. You have to be willing. I think it's also one of those games, and Dan and I joke about this a lot because I think it's part of why I adore competitive multiplayer. Dan doesn't, right? It's like anytime I see something that's like pushing back on me, I want to push back harder. And I literally can't be happy with myself until I overcome that challenge. And Souls is just the perfect type of game.
You take it to bed with you, you're like, God.
Yeah, I can't, like, honestly, like if I'm on a boss and I've died a few times, right? I don't care what time it is or if I've got something to do. I'm like, this guy's going down. Like, I'm going to beat him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how many times it takes.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's a different mindset. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's why the game's for different people.
Yeah.
How many times do you do that? I'm sorry,
I just sit there and like load up like a fail army video or something where I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch people fall on their faces, so I feel better about myself. So that's basically my, reaction to any kind of pushback. It's like, oh, all right, step to the side, like
go ahead on by.
Yeah, go right through. No worries, dude, I don't have to get in your way, buddy.
Right. But no, that's the funny thing about like the Souls games is you can be putting so much time in that you're starting to become like your own enemy because you're getting so frustrated, and then you'll put it down, walk away, go eat lunch, go to bed or whatever, wake up the next day and just completely decimate the boss. So that happens too. Because I remember going for the Sekiro Platinum and fighting the second form of Alpha. That almost broke me. I was almost done. I was like, but it was that thing, Ames, where I was like, I want to put it down because it's frustrating the hell out of me. Yeah. But I can't put it down because he's beating
Which one
me.
was it that made it
hurt?
The second form of Allfather.
Yeah, that he's monstrous.
Yeah, where he's doing like the bird form with the flame, throwing it at you, and you're fighting in the temple.
He's got 3. I think it's 3, right? He's got 3 of the things you have to get. Same
I
as
also
the
have,
demon.
I also got all the achievements in Sekiro, but I don't really remember that fight.
Yeah, it's just something about like fighting in. It was Matt. What's her name? Butterfly.
Lady Butterfly.
Lady Butterfly. You're fighting in her arena.
Yeah,
you're fighting Allfather, and it's just
everything's on fire.
Yeah. It was just something about how that fight was going for me. I could not get him. Put it down. Came back the next day because I remember telling Sam and Nick, I was like, "This game might beat me. I may not get this platinum." But I took it to bed with me. I'm like, this guy, man. He can't be better than me. He can't be.
You're looking at videos of people punching owls. Like, I'm gonna get
Yeah, right. So there's studies that apparently we problem solve when we sleep. Like your brain doesn't turn off when you go to bed. It's like thinking about stuff that happened to you. So like that's actually one of my go-to strategies when I have a difficulty in a game. Is I go, all right, I'm gonna like replay it late at night, and then I'm gonna go right to bed like right away, and then wake up the next morning and play it, and that almost always works. Like,
you're absolutely right. And I talk about them all the time, but RKG guys, they're known for their Souls playthroughs and stuff. And they always find, like, when they're stuck on something, right? You take a break, go get something to eat, get a drink, come back, and they almost always beat it like shortly afterwards. It's like, it's just, it kind of resets your brain. But those fights, man. And I also love how some fights for some are more challenging than others, right? Like Elu's in the chat and he loves Souls games too. And we talk about this a lot. Like in Souls 3, Nameless is pretty famous for being one of the worst bosses, and for me, he actually was. Like, he's the one I struggled with the most.
He's tough, yeah.
It took me like, I don't know, a lot of tries. And whereas Elu said he beat Nameless on like his 7th try or something like that, and I was like, that's pretty good. But he said like Twin Princes crushed him. Like, he literally couldn't beat Twin Princes. I was like, oh, I beat Twin Princes on the 3rd try. It's just weird how it must be your play style or how you figure things out. It's crazy,
but it's that sense of achievement when you finally do it is that can't be matched. That's the thing. It's like once you get it, you're like,
and your hands are, and the enemy health bar is like there, and your hands are sweating, and you're like starting to shake, and you're like, and then you kill him, and it's there's nothing.
This is a very long love letter to Dark Souls 10 years.
We talked about this way longer than I expected to. For sure.
It's gonna be a short show, right? Yeah.
It's good though. It's good.
Good stuff.
So I think, not to stay on this, but looking at Elden Ring and knowing what we know about it, knowing how Miyazaki has continued to refine and his teams continue to refine these games. Personally, for me, like I said, Sekiro didn't really hit the same way as the Souls games. Elden Ring looks like almost everything I love about Souls in a new kind of bigger world with new mechanics and updated things. And, I think that game, the potential for that game is astronomical.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I agree Sekiro isn't an RPG, but so therefore puts it in the same category of Bloodborne for me. But it did something that I think the Dark Souls community will forever be grateful for, which is we finally got good combat in a Souls game. Like, say what you will about all the Dark Souls games, but Yeah, they've never really had good combat. And the reason I put Bloodborne at the bottom is because it misses on both marks, right? Like it doesn't have the good combat. It predates that. And it also is not an RPG. Like it has cool world building, that sort of stuff, but it's missing for me the key thing. The reason I fell in love with Sekiro is because I was like, all right, it's a Souls game. It has all the same stuff Souls does, but they put the RPG in the back seat so that they could focus on making really tight, good combat. And since it succeeds at that, I ended up falling in love with that game. But we'll see if Elden Ring is able to be an RPG, go back to the Dark Souls thing and have combat that's on the level or close to what Sekiro brought to the table. That will make it the best Souls game ever, because that's always been the big problem is Souls games. People kind of laugh and like the fact that the combat isn't good, like that's kind of part of the difficulty. But like at the end of the day, the combat has never been good in the Souls games, and that's sort of part of the fun of it. But I think they need to get past that eventually, because it's kind of getting old. But by 3, I was like, all right, this game needs to improve the combat. So.
Yeah, that's fair. And Elu in the chat. So a couple things. Elu, we were talking about Al's second form, not his original form. That was the conversation. Because the first Al really wasn't that challenging. But the second one was rough. What else? Mo mentioned my flashing screen. I mentioned before the chat, guys. For anyone watching live or watching this later, yes, I know my screen is flashing. It's a problem with the camera, some type of firmware thing. I've troubleshooted for hours. I still haven't resolved it. If you have any insight, feel free to hit me up, but I'm aware of it. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it at the moment. There's something else. Dan, did you just reach your Souls talk limit and have to get out for a minute?
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
I got to take a break.
My internet defeated me.
The internet said you have died.
Yep.
But you respawn, you start over, you just keep working at it, man. It's fine.
Right. But now I'm frustrated and I just want a donut. So that's where I'm at.
You lost all your progress on this podcast. We're gonna have to start over. All right, guys, welcome to Bitcast.
McClunky. Yeah. Let's go.
Dan's gonna steal that from you one morning. That's gonna be great.
I'm gonna change it up though. Let's see what it is.
Club Monkey.
Club Monkey. That's not good. No. You say Club Monkey?
I just reversed the letters. That's it.
No. All right.
All right.
Anyway,
moving on. We talked about Souls way more than I expected, but it's good conversation, guys. So on to Halo Infinite. Obviously, the flight is going on this weekend. Me and many in the chat and others have lived and breathed it nonstop. They had a live stream on Thursday, I believe. They were talking about the 2 flights. So we've got this flight this weekend, which is some of the 4-on-4 again, some new modes. They got a new map coming out today. In fact, right when we finish this show, it's going live with the new map. So I'll be jumping right over to that. And then next weekend is the first flight for Big Team Battle, which, they showed this week. The map is massive, 12-on-12 vehicle, all the chaos you expect from Halo. The map is way bigger than I kind of expected it to be, but that's a good thing considering it's 12-on-12, not 8-on-8, right? And the potential for, what can kind of happen. So it just looks absolutely amazing. The flight that we've been playing this weekend, I know we said this last time, but I continue to be just it makes me very happy to see so many people enjoying Halo, especially those who haven't really played a lot of Halo in the late years, or maybe didn't play a lot of 5 or 4. People really coming back to it and just saying, wow, this is really, really, really impressive. And it is. It's absolutely incredible to play and very addictive. So I know, Travis, we got some games in on Friday, which was cool. But it's the potential for this game, I think, is continues to be incredible.
Yep. I really don't have much more to say except for that, like, Halo feels really, really damn good, and I just want it to come out. I'm ready. I almost don't want to play more of the flight. I mean, I'm going to, and I'm going to play a lot of it, but I almost don't want to because, like, this game can't be here soon enough. Like, it really just can't. I'm so excited for it. Yeah. Only a constructive criticism I really have of it is I don't think the spawns are very good. The spawn points, I'm getting killed or at least attacked like right at spawn, and I think they need to work on that. It might be that the maps are smaller and they're sprint. I'm not really sure what it is, but I think hopefully that's one of the takeaways. I'm sure that they have data to show that, like, the spawns haven't been amazing during this flight. So
yeah, and it's definitely a challenge. I don't know if you played, but yesterday they added Strongholds and Capture the Flag. And as you can imagine, it's even tougher in those, right? Because depending on who has what objective or who's carrying a flag somewhere, you can't have people spawn right where someone just grabs your flag, because then you can kill them instantly and that messes up the game. And so it's been, I think that's always a challenge they're working on. But the other thing I would say, and this is just a crime against humanity, is that when you're holding the flag and you beat someone with it, it's not a one-hit kill anymore.
Oh, that's not okay.
No. I don't know who at 343 thought that was a good idea, but yeah, that's got to be resolved. A flag hit is always a one-hit kill. It should always be a one-hit kill. We got to resolve it. But
yeah, I wonder what the reasoning for is. I wonder, can you run with the flag? Maybe that's it.
Can't run with the flag.
So that's like
and you don't have the flag them anymore. Like in the other ones where you could pistol and flag, you don't have that either. You just carry the flag like old Halo, which is fine. But you got to let me beat people with the flag. Like, I punched someone with it yesterday, and I broke his shield, and then he killed me, and I'm like, oh, no. No. That doesn't work. But
it sounds incredibly Souls-like.
I would love to hear. I don't. Jesus Christ. I don't. It took me so long to hear that because I was focused on the
Oh man,
that's gonna be the new joke. Anytime we do anything, we're talking about dating sim. We're like, it's a little Souls-like. You date boys. Anyway,
oh man.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder. So for me, I'm not like a hardliner on old rules existing. I kind of like it when games break existing rules. But I'm wondering what I would just want to hear the reasoning for it. Like, why would they make that change? Is there must be some reason?
No, I don't care.
Just fix it.
Here's the thing.
Keep your reasons.
Because
fix it.
I know you're old, Ains, but just because it happened or existed before doesn't mean it.
No, I'm actually one of the Halo guys that takes. You know how crazy the Halo community is, right? It's it's not this way. It's broken. I've always been one who takes a Halo game as it's presented and just kind of acclimates to the new form of it, right? And I do that. I do that in all of them, but this just feels weird, right? It's like when you're a flag carrier, you're completely defenseless. You're slower because I was running past our flag carriers last night, right, to protect them. So you're slower. And the whole thing is, if someone's stupid enough to run up on the flag carrier, right, without shooting them from a distance because they can't shoot back, then it's always been a one-hit kill. I think that's one of those old school Halo things that just has to be there. But again,
I tend to agree with you. I would just want to hear, like, obviously it must have been an intentional change. I'm just wondering what the reasoning was.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see.
It will. If I'm bringing it up, there's plenty of people bringing it up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But again, if the biggest complaint I have with the multiplayer is that in Capture the Flag, when you're holding a flag, it's a one-hit kill instead of two, I think they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
is that's more of a problem with you than the spawns? Have you not had issues with spawns?
I've had a couple, but remember, I play a lot of competitive MP, right? So if I like look at Call of Duty, which is atrocious.
They've always had spawn problems. Halo has been pretty good at it in the past.
Yeah. But what my point being is that there have been a few instances where I spawn, I'm like, holy crap, I'm looking at an enemy. But it's not like every spawn. It's not overwhelming. So like you said, they have data on these things. The data and analytics they have on these games nowadays, they're always tuning it. So I'm confident it'll be fine in that vein. Yeah. So. Dan, maybe
I was
going to say, I know you're not playing it, but I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Absolutely not. From what I've seen, at least on the socials, is have you guys ever seen a game beta, I guess, release in this state or the flight or whatever it is? Because normally every time you see something, like a Call of Duty, Vanguard, you see all these glitches and stuff. I mean, what other games have not even released, but have come out with a beta in this kind of state? Because it sounds like it's in an amazing state. And also, you guys kind of mentioned a couple, but any other potential pitfalls, going forward towards release? Like, what else do you want to see to kind of, if you have any other concerns, not necessarily about the beta, but maybe something that was in 5 or 4, that you want to see either changed up that you haven't seen yet, going forward.
I have
these
no
flights.
complaints about Halo Infinite. I think at this point it's 100% going to be. It's going to come down to the campaign. I think to a certain extent it has always been going to come down to the campaign, but especially now having played quite a bit of Halo Infinite multiplayer, I think it really is just going to come down to what they do with the campaign, and that's how it's going to live or die. Because the multiplayer is going to be great. I've played enough to just know that that's true.
Yeah. Real quick, Jordan says, I think my only complaint any of us have, the flag thing seems egregious, which is funny to me because I've never cried not my Halo until now. I'm exactly the same camp. I mean, Jordan and I were playing together last night, so yeah, it just surprised me. But no, Dan, I think that's probably why so many of us keep talking about it and are so hyped up, because normally in something, especially so early, right? The first flight was in July, right? Am I remembering correctly? It was in July. It doesn't matter, but it was a 2-month-old build in July, like 5 months before the game launched. And yet it was near flawless. Like, it just played so well. And I think that's there's two things. One, that, right? So, when the game launches, the gameplay is going to be phenomenal on the multiplayer perspective. The other thing is that Halo is such a divisive game, even among its own community, and how the mechanics need to be in each iteration. And there's a lot of debate on major things, right? Sprint and aim assist and all these other, variables in Halo. The fact that Infinite has managed to capture the feeling of old while making everything feel fresh and fluid is not an easy task for any developer at all. And somehow they've managed to do it. And I think that's why so many of us are excited, is to see Halo kind of at the top of the shooter heap again, because the mechanically, as a shooter, I'll say it right now, that game, even in this form, is better than any other shooter on the market, period. I'll debate that with anyone. I don't care if you put Apex, any other game. Mechanically, the shooting mechanics in Halo Infinite are the best. And that's I think where many of us Halo fans expect to see Halo, right? So
Destiny will give you run for your money, but
Destiny's fantastic. Destiny's fantastic.
It's another Bungie game that runs from some of the same roots as Halo. So,
but
it kind of doesn't count.
I would argue multiplayer to multiplayer, there's no debate. Destiny overall, the gun mechanics are fantastic, but the multiplayer in Destiny, the way it feels compared to Infinite, it's not there. I know you're a Destiny stan. So.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree with you is my answer. And I'm also a PvP main in Destiny, but I agree with you.
Which, by the way, needs more competitive mode. I got your back, bro.
Hey, the internet is so mad at me this week. I had a 2-hour fight with Paul Tassi online, and the internet hates me. It's been great, but I am right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm correct. I am 100% correct in my argument, and everyone doesn't agree with me, and they're all wrong. Somehow, all of them are wrong. I don't know how to explain it.
You brought something interesting about Travis. Does one part of this game have to succeed for both to succeed? You know what I mean? Like, does it have to be this campaign has to be fire and the multiplayer has to be fire, or can just one
be
Halo
fans? It does.
For Halo fans,
for
right?
Halo
For
fans,
fans,
it does. But Halo 5 was a pretty big success, and a lot of people didn't like that campaign. I sort of think people are overly harsh on it, but I think the thing with Halo is it is the last, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been saying this on other podcasts, and no one has given me an example.
As long as you have confidence, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
I have confidence, which is Halo is the last first-person shooter where both players and people in the world expect it to be like a AAA 10 out of 10 experience on both multiplayer and on the campaign.
Yes.
Because there used to be lots of games like that, but now Call of Duty, people play that for the multiplayer, and the campaign is sort of just seen as an add-on. Battlefield is kind of in the same camp. And then other games like Titanfall 2 will be like, all right, the campaign, apparently that was the main thing that was good in that one, and then the multiplayer wasn't. But Halo, there are people who play Halo just for the campaign, and they want it to be like the ultimate experience. And there's people who play just for the multiplayer, and it's the only first-person shooter left that has that expectation on both sides. And so for me, the campaign being successful in addition to multiplayer is more about the legacy of Halo and the conversation around Halo and where it sits in the landscape of first-person shooters, more than it needing a good campaign to succeed. But I think that if the campaign does fall short, the way it'll be remembered and the way people talk about Halo will be very different and it's sort of a bit of a double standard because Halo is the only one in this camp, but it's just true.
I completely agree with you. And I've said before, I think on this show, that in my opinion, and I know I'm a Halo stan, so you can, again, like Travis, you can argue with me if you disagree. But I really do think the weight of expectation on 343 to deliver Halo Infinite is higher or larger than any other developer with their game. I don't see another game coming out that has the weight of expectation and the scope of the game being as large as Halo Infinite. To Travis's point, which I agree with, Travis, you have to deliver this gigantic campaign. The story has to be well written. Chief has to be honored. And I think part of the reason for what you said, Battlefield, Call of Duty, whether Apex isn't really one of them, but you know what I mean, these big shooters, in addition to this core multiplayer experience that millions and millions of people play, you have the story, which is tied to a very deep set of lore, right? And you have an iconic character in Chief who many people like myself adore, right? So it's like
iconic character.
Yeah. So and so you kind of have this single player focus where you've got an iconic character, lore, a long running story, and you want all those things to come together. But then over here, you've got this gigantic multiplayer suite that has to compete with the biggest shooters in the world in its own right, right? And then they also do other things that other shooters don't do, right? They do all these custom games. They do this amazing iteration with Forge where people create wild games that you'll never see in another shooter. And they do all of this in one single package from one developer, one core developer, of course, with help, which, to your point, Travis, which I agree with, nobody else does. There's not another game like that.
Yeah.
They basically have to launch 2 flawless games at the same
Right.
time.
Yeah. Two AAA big budget
games.
games.
Yeah.
And if one thing's wrong, they get flack for it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to. Like, well, is that what we're looking at down the road here? It's like, man, this multiplayer is almost flawless, no connection issues. We don't have server problems. We, everything, the matchmaking is well done. I mean, there's so much, again, that goes into those separate pieces.
Yep.
And then, and then you get to the campaign, you're like, yeah, this is pure trash.
I have a theory. That's why 343 delayed till December. I honestly think they're trying to avoid some of the undue kind of like criticism and hype by putting it at a part of the year where there's not as much competition. They're allowed to just like develop the game, and they're not worried about the Game of the Year awards or anything like that. I think it's strategic more than about delays, the time they chose for the launch, but I could be wrong. That's just my feeling. And I think it'll work. I think them going into December will be a huge advantage for them, to be honest.
I do too. I think it's partially that and partially because campaign needs as much time as possible. That just my own thought. But anyway, sorry, Eric, you've been
Oh, no. No, you guys are bringing up some excellent points, and I 100% agree with you, Ains, that it's on a different level, but it's also on a different level for them for other reasons that aren't necessarily Halo's fault, but sort of how Microsoft has kind of gone along as far as their game delivery, as far as first party goes. So it has the honor of being probably the first big game to hit with the Series X and to hit with, to kind of lead the charge of Game Pass and the whole nine. And so it has a lot of things going on around it, right? Then you also have the advent of the multiplayers being free to play for the first time, right?
Yep.
So I think
and on PC it launched for the first time.
Right.
Well, since 2, but that's way back when. But
right. Yeah. So I think when it comes to the hardcore and the Twitter bubble, so to speak, there'll be a higher level of scrutiny there. But I think they'll also have a different audience who's not really paying attention to any of that noise. They're just seeing that there's this new free-to-play multiplayer thing. And I think the aesthetic of that is going to be intriguing versus like your Call of Duties and your Battlefields. Because again, Space Rangers running around shooting. I mean, so you kind of have, you'll get the attention of people who, vehicles. So you'll get the attention of people who look at like the Fortnites and the Apexes and things like that, who don't have the traditional ties to Halo like we do, right? So we're definitely going to have a microscope on it. They'll just take it for what it is and kind of run with it.
Of course.
If the campaign is good or bad, they may ignore it. They may play it, but that won't be the draw for them. It'll be what the multiplayer is doing.
Correct.
So the only thing that'll trip that multiplayer up is if there's, for whatever reason, which I don't think is going to happen. Well, I shouldn't say I don't think it will. Anything can happen. If there's like some major like debacle as far as connectivity or something like that. But I think a lot of what is going on in the flight is probably helping them with that. and they're getting ready for that because they know free to play, you cannot come out on day one and be completely just down.
Yeah.
You need people in there playing, and you can fix the little things, but you don't want to be down completely. So I think that's why they're putting so much emphasis on that.
Yep.
So the other thing they have to kind of navigate around is not everybody's going to pick it up in Game Pass or have Game Pass to play it. They're going to actually buy a copy. So now you have what used to be a campaign and multiplayer in one suite for $60. Now you have a free to play suite and a campaign that somebody's arguably going to pay $60 for. So what are they going to get with that? And they may have something to say if the campaign drops the ball on the 5-yard line.
Fair.
You know? So it has, like you said, so much is swirling around this game that it has all these lofty things that it has to hit. It has so many check boxes that it has to hit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I agree with Travis. I don't think it lives or dies by what the campaign does. I think it lives or dies by what the multiplayer does.
I agree. Multiplayer is the thing that'll live on.
Yeah, but we'll shred it apart.
Campaign's going to live on too, though. Don't forget.
Well, I know.
I
True,
think that's
true.
the reason it's $60 because they have multiple campaigns. And if you guys looked at the leaks already, we already know about all the details about 2 of them. So
right, I luckily avoided that. But that is an excellent point.
It happened.
That's an excellent point. So,
but yeah, no, I
didn't look at it, just to be clear. I'm just pointing out that like it's gonna live. It's gonna be a game as a service.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's infinite. They're adding to it. I mean that's part of the thing. In fact, if you look at the Halo site right now, where it says campaign, it's campaigns with an S. So I mean it's literally already on the main site.
Well, that could help them. That could be a help. Like,
it's going to be huge.
If the first part of it doesn't really hit, they can always
live a second or third time. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yep.
And that's what frustrated me so much with these silly comparisons you see, because there's so much context here, right? And there's so much going on with this game. And we hear 500 million, and we hear 6 years in development, and it's like these things are just thrown around and people don't know, they don't have any insight into what's actually happening. But I've said to people before, you have a new engine here that you developed in-house, which again, nobody does that. The how impossible that is to do, and they've done it. And then you've got to remember, this game, to your point, Eric, it has to be the showcase for the Series X. Like Forza Horizon 5 will be a showcase, but Forza Horizon 5 doesn't have the eyes on it that Halo does. It's not even close. Despite us I'll play Forza Horizon 5 for probably hundreds of hours, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not the same weight as Halo. But Halo has to be the showcase for Series X. It has to run flawlessly on PC. It also has to run flawlessly on Xbox One from 2013 on a new engine, and it has to do so, to your point, for anyone buying this game, or no matter how they get it, right? So it's just, it's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Now, how many? Like this flight it's not limited to the newer consoles right now. It's open to everybody. Has everybody playing even on the old consoles had a good experience? I no idea.
The only thing I've heard is
some people.
Yeah, I've seen some people post say it. Everything I've seen is it's very good, except for the frame rate's a little rougher, which is to be expected. I mean, you're not going to get flawless 60 probably on the new game. Although I do think by launch they will have it running at 60 on Xbox One. People forget that Halo 5 released in 2015 and it was 1080p 60 on the original Xbox One.
Nice.
That's what they'll do. It'll be 1080p but 60 frames.
Correct. Yeah. And now I'm playing in 4K 120 and it is absolutely butter. Like I can't even explain
PC. It's
how gorgeous
it
is.
It looks really good on both Series X and PC.
Well,
To
your point, this released 6 years ago, right? Or Halo 5 did.
Yeah.
So at that time, there, the streaming culture wasn't really, I guess, super prominent. Now it is. How do you think that is going to impact how well this game does? Like, you think Microsoft will get this game out there to those prominent streamers?
Yes.
I know Ninja, you used to play Halo. I mean, I'm not a fan of really any kind of streamer. But with that being said, how does this affect this game's launch as opposed to how it affected, Halo 5's back in,
I think it's a big part. In fact, you had the Halo Twitter account was responding and sharing Tim the Tapman's clip yesterday that he shared playing, and I don't know streamers that well either, but I know he's one of like the top 10 in the world or something in terms of views. So I think it's a big part of that. They will promote that. Combined, that's part of why the free-to-play multiplayer being free as well is so big. and it will also tie into why they're stressing the importance of the HCS so much. They're really pushing for HCS to be big again, which is the competitive league for Halo, right? Because that, again, brings in a different sort of community, but it spreads a lot of awareness as to the competitive people who want that really sweaty experience that Halo can provide that again. And just one more point, if you guys don't mind, is as you were talking, Eric, it kind of, one of the segues I wanted to make here is, there's still some people I don't want to talk about, still talking about the lack of campaign co-op at launch. The point I made to some friends yesterday was that they focused a lot on this academy and the training with the bots. And in my opinion, that is fundamentally far more important at launch than campaign co-op. Campaign co-op is played by a minor percentage of people. It's part of the campaign, obviously. And it will be there a few months after launch for when people want to enjoy it. The key to academy and bots and the training and the weapon drills and everything is to fundamentally support the Halo multiplayer being free to play, because you're going to have millions, if not tens of millions of people jumping into this game, millions of which who have never played Halo before. To Eric's point, we're not everyone's old like us. And
Thank you.
Watch it. So in this Souls-like Halo game, messing with you, Travis. The point I'm making is that bringing new people in, onboarding basically people and teaching them the nuances of Halo is incredibly important, because one of the challenges Halo multiplayer has had over the years is that the skill gap is very high between experienced players and new players. The mechanics are not the same as your Call of Duty, your Battlefields, etc., where you pick up any machine gun, you point, you shoot, you kill. It's not how Halo works. There's a lot of fundamental aspects to each individual weapon, how they function, shield breaking mechanic, all these other things that people just imagine. You've never played Halo before and you pick it up and expect it to play like any other shooter you've played. It doesn't. And all of a sudden you're shooting people with what you think is like 50 bullets. They don't die. And you're like, how come I keep getting killed right away and I can't kill anyone else? And we hear it all the time. So having a good kind of training regimen, showing people how you can learn the skills of Halo, get into academy, practice against bots, teach the mechanics, is fundamentally huge for this game. And that's why 343 is pushing it, and why that is the focus for them, because that's how this game, to your point, I think on a broad scale is going to be shared among the social community and grow, is in the multiplayer suite.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. Yep. Good points, man.
Okay.
Fair.
I didn't know if anyone had more to add, but all right.
Yeah.
I don't care. They can get to it when they get to it.
So Dan, I would say, in all seriousness,
Yes.
I know you're not one for competitive, but
Sure.
the fact that you can play against bots, you can do all these other things, it's actually really fun. So you could jump in there right now today. Well, you're not part of the flight, I don't think, right?
No.
But when the game releases, you could jump in by yourself, play against low-level bots who basically just run around. You can even turn on invincibility. You can turn on what they call play fighting, where the bots don't even shoot at you. They just run around and jump and do stuff. So you can practice aiming. But you can get like a real feel for it and just see at least how the game feels as you kind of go into campaign too. Because obviously multiplayer is a little different from the campaign.
Yeah. I mean, can I still sign up for it? Like,
you could sign up for the next
flight?
one, I'm sure. If they have a next one. I don't know if they do
I have
another one.
Halo Insider stuff on the Xbox, but I just never have used it. So, yeah. This is. Thanks.
Trying to get Dan into Halo. Dan, you can be invincible. Come on, play it.
That's basically where I'm at. Can I be invincible in the actual multiplayer game? Because that would be
Not with your skill set.
no.
Hey, Machine Gun Mike in the house, this kind of emphasizes the point, Mike. So good call out. I noticed there are many small moments that matter during a firefight. I was very impressed with the down to the second choices that need to be made. Exactly, and that's some people call it the Halo dance, because Halo is one of the few shooters nowadays where you can go into an engagement 1-on-2, right, and you can win if you're good enough, or just make the right play at the right moment. That doesn't happen.
The other one.
Would you stop bringing up that crap game?
How dare you?
But that doesn't happen in other games. It's like you point, you shoot, someone's going to die, and if you live and someone else is there, especially like Call of Duty, if you're 1-on-2, you're not living. It's very rare. If they're both pointing at you, that you're going to live.
Because the time to kill is 0 point.
Time to kill is too low. You just have to point and shoot. It's just very different. So, anyway. God damn, we've stayed on these topics way longer than I thought.
I know. We have 40 minutes left, and we haven't even gotten to any of the news stuff.
I tell you what.
All right.
Everybody keep your comments brief going forward.
It's Nintendo. We can just kind of breeze right there.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? Nintendo is a gem.
Oh, man.
Is or was?
Yes.
Don't bait me. I will answer you with single word responses.
Like F off. All right. Moving on. Let's go ahead and move on to Nintendo Direct was this week. So typical Nintendo fashion, they came out Wednesday and said, by the way, join us tomorrow morning for Nintendo Direct. And but the nice thing about this show, and in all fairness to Nintendo, is that they showed a bunch of what's coming to the Switch from the fall to going into next year, and we got some actual meaningful updates on big games, which is good, right? So Metroid Dread, like as we talk right now, is 2 weeks away. So hopefully, that lives up to the expectations for 2D Metroid. Mario Party Superstars is coming, but the kind of big things here was Kirby's coming back. We should have all seen that coming, right? You got a new Kirby 3D platformer. You got a big expansion to Monster Hunter Rise. I know I don't like Monster Hunter Runner. I don't know what I just said. Monster Hunter, but there are millions and millions and millions of people that do, of course. So that's pretty cool. We finally got to see Bayonetta 3, which has been in development for years, right? So that's coming out supposedly 2022. They didn't give a date, just the year. Triangle Strategy, which is the game that interests me the most, which is a kind of classic looking tactics RPG from Square Enix. That's coming out in March 4th, actually. And then we've got what else? N64. N64. You canceled your Nintendo Online subscription a week early, Dan.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, though. I would have to pay probably extra to get the Plus package, then pay an extra $50 for those controllers. If I really wanted them.
Nintendo's not that bad. $30 a year. That's like cheap.
Well, you don't get anything.
Yeah, you barely even get servers, but you
right. But you get Bluetooth now, though. So that's nice.
Sometimes.
Do you?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know
which console.
But you get N64 and Genesis games are coming. Some obviously, and they're going to sell N64 and Genesis controllers that are just like the classics.
That part is crazy to me that they're selling N64 controllers.
Like, no, what's crazy to me is they're selling a Genesis controller in 2022 for $50. Yes. That's what's crazy to me.
Here's the thing though. I bought the regular Nintendo ones. That's the only reason I got Nintendo Online, because I wanted those old, but new controllers. So I've got the SNES ones and the NES ones.
Yeah, still, those made sense to me.
The crazy part to me, Ains, is that
part of the problem, guys.
Yes.
Dude. The least crazy part to me is that it costs that much to reproduce a super old clunky controller. Like, even making it that size, like they could make a Genesis controller like this big if they wanted to. You know what I mean? Like they're basically like,
that's my point.
Anti-engineering.
That's my point.
That's why
it was designed 35 years ago, and it probably cost them 47 cents to make, and they're selling it for $50.
No, I think it costs way more than you think, because they're having to reproduce something that nobody would request. Like, they're just manufacturing.
They just manufacture them for the Sega Genesis Mini. I literally have them. Same exact controller.
How much does the Sega Genesis Mini cost you?
You can get on Amazon and find those exact controllers.
But that's for the game. That's for the game, like the console. 40 games and 2 controllers.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
You don't have to buy the old controllers. I'm certainly not going to.
No, you don't have to.
I never want to play an N64 controller ever again in my life. Ever. Oh my God. It's like made for a 3-handed creature. Why would you ever play that controller?
Remember when it first came out and people were like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
that was interesting.
I'm still confused by that controller, and I used it for hundreds of hours, probably thousands.
Yeah, they're $15 for the Sega Genesis Mini controllers. That's how much they are.
And
those aren't wireless.
And even the third-party one, like the 8-bit do ones that are like wireless and kind of new.
Yeah, those for $849.
Yeah, so that's why it's because they put it in the Nintendo box.
Yeah, it's got
with the red
Nintendo
box.
on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
But
Donna.
That
anyway,
whole thing's
guys,
baffled me. We'll get there.
we've kind of we've gone on the controller side road here, but going back to the games and the direct, I'll start with you, Travis, because I know you're more of a Nintendo stan than I think the rest of us, at least current Nintendo stan. Where did you catch up on these previews? Did you catch up on the direct? What things you're looking forward to here?
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch it in real time, but I did catch up on it. Yeah, it looks the stuff they showed is awesome. I am really excited for Metroid Dread. I know you guys have been a little bit colder on that one, but I think it's going to surprise you. I think it's going to be good. It's been a really long time since a 2D Metroid, and I don't think that they would risk this one. I think it's going to.
I've warmed up on it. I've warmed up on it.
Yeah, that what they showed was great. I think Bayonetta 3 is going to be awesome. I'm a huge fan of Kirby, so I'm really excited that Kirby's getting a game again. I think it's really overdue. The old games that they're bringing back, they should have done that a long time ago. So I'm glad that those are coming to the platform. But I really appreciate that Nintendo does things differently, both in the games that they make and in the way that they present those games. And announcing a show the day before and then doing it and then showing a bunch of stuff that's going to come out in the next year is totally awesome. And I prefer that to getting a CGI trailer of a game and then not hearing about seeing it every year at the yearly show for 4 years until it comes out. And I think Nintendo they do their own thing, and it's it works for them, and I prefer it in terms of the presentation anyway.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to ask you guys about this. I was thinking back, we got PlayStation show a couple weeks ago, right? And they did a good job generally of kind of what's coming down the line, right? To build a hype, right? But what I realized as I watched the Nintendo show is Nintendo did a really good job of showing what's coming now, like what you're going to be able to play in the next 6 months, combined with a few things coming in the future to get you excited for the platform. Where I was thinking about PlayStation, I was like, I'm obviously hyped for Horizon and the things we know, right? But when you look at that show, it's like it's September when they did the show, or August, whenever it was, and there's nothing there until February that we're touching. I mean, literally 6 months of
and the stuff
no core experiences on PlayStation.
And the stuff we're playing in February, we learned about 3 or 4 years ago,
right? Exactly. That's my point.
Trailers ever since,
So it's like, I don't know which is better of the two. It doesn't really matter, I realize. But it occurred to me watching Nintendo that as much crap as I give Nintendo nowadays, I did think this was one of their better directs, because it did that, right? It captured their core audience. It captured people like myself. It gave you stuff that's coming soon and stuff that's coming in the future, which is a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, I don't know, man. Are you as hard on Nintendo nowadays as we are? Like, where are you at on Nintendo?
I will always have like a nostalgic heart for Nintendo, even when I kind of question some of the moves that they make. But I'll first address like the show itself. I definitely agree with you guys. Like, they're very good at saying, hey, this is what's coming, and it's right around the corner, as opposed to like way far out, even though I know gamers always request to know what's coming out on the horizon. They want all their announcements at the beginning, and then let the generation for the next few years play out, and then complain that there's nothing to play.
For us, Eric.
Ever.
We don't know
ever, bro.
Well, it's like Wolverine. It's like, okay, I'm pumped. Like Insomniac making Wolverine, fantastic. Like, I'll be there day one. But it's like probably like 3 or 4 years away.
What if they didn't show you it and they were surprised at you with it, with gameplay and like a huge deep dive, and then it came out 6 months after that?
Yeah, that'd be even better.
You would have been blown away. I think the reason a lot of companies are hesitant to do that is because of leaks. It takes the wind out of their sails. I think they have to announce before a leak beats it to the punch. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that's a good point. But in terms of these shows, like I tend to always kind of go into them with the idea that I'll probably see something that I want to play. And that's the biggest thing for me. It's not, I don't tend to go overhype. I know the terms are always set expectations. I said, you should always have high expectations for companies that you give your money to.
Yes.
You should never do this thing where, well, okay, and make an excuse. Now, don't, have theater of the mind and overbuild it to the point where they can't live up to anything that you had or a preconceived notion, because that's not fair either. Yeah. We see that all the time. People kind of run in, well, I thought they should have shown this. It's like, well, your thought that they should have shown it and them not showing it is not the same thing. So there were definitely things in the show that that I saw that I want to play, like Metroid Dread, 100%. Like I'm there for that, and I'm still praying that Samus Returns gets a port to the Switch, because I never finished it on 3DS. I got my hands on my Switch. I can't go back to the 3DS anymore because it kills my hands. But Metroid Dread will have to do for now. The game looks phenomenal, so I cannot wait. We don't get enough Metroid, so I'm never gonna like crap on that. Let's So you can show me more of that. Actually, don't show me anymore. I'm good, but hype for that.
And they haven't really shown anything of that game. I think that's another thing Nintendo does really well, is they don't over trailerize, they don't overshare, and they just say, here it is.
Very true. I was happy to see that Bayonetta 3 is still alive and still a thing, because that is one of those times that they did announce it and we hadn't heard or seen anything.
That and Metroid Prime 4, remember? They announced
Metroid Prime 4, I think they regret announcing.
Yes.
Yeah, they went back to the drawing board.
Yeah, so does everybody else.
Everyone's still waiting on that Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yes.
But they said they keep saying is in the vault somewhere. I'm like, I don't know why they keep holding it, but it's all good. The only thing that like baffled me is, like, we just talked about the controllers. I was like, that's interesting. But more than that, what is this new tier to access the N64 and Genesis stuff? I'm kind of like, because they haven't announced the price on that yet.
No, they're going to charge an extra $10 or $15,
right? And I'm like, why?
You can play
why
8 more games?
I know why. I know
it's
why
their Game Pass.
Right. I know why they're doing it, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, Nintendo's going to Nintendo. That's where they know, like, their audience. Like I always say too, like with when it comes to Microsoft and Xbox, they know their hardcore audience. They can they buy hardware, so they'll make hardware for you to buy. Nintendo knows their audience. They know we have that nostalgia play, and you guys are going to pull up to the table and eat. And I am 100% a part of the problem. I'll talk all the crap in the world about them as I'm putting my credit card information in. But I'm not doing the controllers, not on this one. Like with Dan, I did the NES, I did the SNES. They got me on the nostalgia play there. I have a USB wired Genesis controller, the clear blue. Works perfectly fine. I'm good with that. And then I have an 8-bit do that's wireless. So I'm good. I don't need to do the other ones for $50. And they'll never go on sale. That's the other funny part. They'll keep keep throwing them up there, and they'll always be the same price.
They'll probably be sold out. You won't be able to find them.
Yeah, that did happen with the NES and SNES. And then when they came up, when you miss them, they know that you missed them. And then when they pop up again, it's like a crackhead. It's like, I got to get them this time just because I might not see them again.
They do that scarcity play. They're like,
man, they're brilliant.
They're like the Nike shoes.
They're the Disney of, got to get this now. It's going to be gone.
Yeah, but overall, I thought the show was good. Again, they always, their shows, like their main directs, always, you walk away, there's always something there. If you're interested in the Nintendo ecosystem, there's something there for everybody. You may not have gotten 4 or 5 games you can walk away with, but there's typically always one. And I see that on the timeline. People are like, well, the show is okay, but this game did look good.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of it.
Yeah.
You always find something that, as a gamer, you want to rock with. So
unless you only play first-person shooters.
Exactly. Or if you're always looking for AAA, it's dry.
Shows. Yeah.
It's dry out here. But the Castlevania drop was we went from that being kind of rumored, like showing up on a rating board, to like, hey, it's available right now.
You had
ActRaiser.
That was
good.
You're gonna play it again, Ains. You're gonna.
I am. I just don't have time for it.
Right.
Too bad.
And the one thing,
too bad.
The one thing that was really cool to see, like, people put down their swords and the negativity, and people got hyped and hit the nostalgia of ActRaiser.
Yes.
I didn't see anyone pissed about that.
ActRaiser is he's talking about hard games. Go back and play ActRaiser and ActRaiser 2 on the Super Nintendo. Very Souls-like. That was very cool to see that game come back. It's not
under wraps too, right? Like it was under wraps. Like no one really knew that was a thing.
That was a big surprise. Yeah. And I know if Elu's still in the chat, he's calling it too because he's a big ActRaiser fan. But really cool to see. So Dan, did you catch up on this? Any interest?
Yeah. I mean, I saw some of it. I watched it piecemeal.
Okay.
I had no desire to continue to give.
There's
Nintendo
a recap
my money.
on seasongaming.com.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that. Yeah. That's basically where I watch it. So here's the thing. You're right, Eric. They basically they know who they are. They know what they're doing. They put just enough bait on that hook for the old gamers that grew up with them, us
Right.
that has supported them through everything, just to keep us around. And there's gonna for me at least lately, it's just gotten to the point where it's just like, listen, you're hitting that stage where I really don't care. Like I'm not gonna it just doesn't matter anymore. Metro Dread looks good. Bayonetta 3, yes, I'm gonna 100% get in on that one. The controllers, I mean, I literally just canceled my online subscription.
I saw your tweet the other day. Yeah.
And then they came back and they wouldn't refund my money, so they gave me eShop credit, and I'm just like, well, great. What the hell am I supposed to use this for?
Right.
Games.
So it's probably but I don't play it. That's the problem. I have 3 Switches in my house. I have a light and 2 and 3. Yeah, well, they don't play it either now. Now they're just, I don't know what they do. Their tastes change daily, so it doesn't. Who the hell knows what they're playing? Apex maybe today. Maybe it's Minecraft. I have no clue. So
I hope it's Minecraft.
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, one of them does. I don't know what.
They'll be learning while they play.
Right. That's why that's important to me as a. Like, I don't think I learned anything. Like there was never an educational
games. You do not learn anything, but Minecraft, you actually do learn stuff when you play.
100%. I remember, being in the beta for that, but their tastes change, like I said, daily pretty much. So I have no idea what they're doing. But everything else, I mean, can we talk about this Mario movie? Because damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I didn't know how to react to that one. I mean, the internet's had a ball with it, though, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what to think about it.
It's at first, it's not live action, so
yes,
I think when I first heard of that, I was like, because I saw the memes on Twitter before I saw any of the official news, I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be awful. And then the more I saw the cast, I was like, the casting's pretty good. I have to hand it to him. I'm
except for Mario.
Yeah. I even think that, like, I think people look at Pratt now and they associate with him with like Jurassic Park and some of his like not great movies that he's been in.
Well, and also his weird personal stuff.
Oh, I don't know any about that. I know nothing about celebrities.
Oh yeah,
like
he's
that sort of stuff.
I think what the reputation around him has changed because people found out he's like this ultra weird religious guy, and there's weird stuff associated with him, but it doesn't matter. Okay. That's neither here nor there.
I didn't know that, but that shout out to all the left-handed people.
That's us, man.
Yeah. Why are there so many lefties in this?
Because
this is a good community and good chat. That's why.
Yeah. That explains why Dan's so rubbish. Anyway,
that might be true.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, I think that that might be a good cast for that movie. To be honest, all the people I saw, I was like, yeah, I could totally see that person playing that role. It's pretty good.
I mean, it could be, animated movie. Who knows? You've got some characters who can bring a lot of kind of talent on the voice spectrum. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's not something I expected.
The existing Mario movie, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, exactly.
I just didn't have it on my bingo card. Like,
right.
Not. Yeah, like that's bizarre.
It was cool to see Miyamoto come out, right?
Yeah.
And talk about it.
Yeah.
He's been kind of he's taken a behind the curtain kind of move lately.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be up there. I think he's like near 70.
Yeah, like easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting because we're so used to like Mario in particular not having voice. So that could be jarring.
What do you mean? He tells you that it's him.
Yeah, like all the time.
I just want to know what the script is. I mean, the story is going to be mind blowing, right?
I know
that. True.
Still tied to the game somehow too.
Yeah, there's 78 games and they all have the same story. So we'll see what happens.
There were people that were really, really upset that the original voice of Mario wasn't doing the voice.
That would be a train wreck.
I mean, what does he even say? Aside from, hey, it's me.
Yeah, it's expressions. It's really just expressions.
That's it.
It's like an offensive, offensive Italian impression. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All of that.
He's like a 70-year-old white guy that goes around to Comic-Cons now and like signs, posters of himself, which is super weird. So, I mean.
I I agree with Brian Altano over at IGN, who said, he really wishes they would have gotten, just for the hell of it, right? Gotten an Italian American to voice Mario, rather than just a star like Chris Pratt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if it's just a voice, why not go with someone, I don't know.
It's true, but it sells when you get an international
Exactly.
voice. But
it's all about money.
I pulled up the list just to make sure I wasn't crazy. But like Luigi is being played by Charlie Day.
Charlie Day, yeah.
That's a great casting choice.
Yes.
That's a good
Bowser is Jack Black.
Mhm.
Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong.
That's
Donkey
great.
Kong is Fred
Yeah.
Armisen, which is amazing. Like all of these casting choices, I was like, that's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
that's like exactly
I
who
love
would
hearing
have
that
chosen.
Donkey Kong's going to be in it because he's my favorite Nintendo character. So
Yeah,
that's great.
Really?
and he's gonna have a
Yeah.
very addictive laugh.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, we'll see.
Wow.
We'll see what comes of it. So
It's gonna be good. Have faith.
yeah, Miyamoto. If you saw it, Miyamoto did say it's going to be a while before they provide another update. So it feels like this is still kind of early. So I wouldn't expect to.
2022?
They didn't say that.
It's
Unless I completely missed it. Miyamoto said we were not going to be able to show you this for a while, unless I completely lost track of it, which is possible.
called. I mean, I looked it up. It says it's called Super Mario Movie 2022 on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
good.
know if,
Good.
yeah.
Maybe by not show us anything for a while, they meant maybe next summer or something. Who knows?
Well, they'll come back next year and announce that they had to give it to a different studio and delay it like further out.
Is this a transition to another topic?
And it's coming to Paramount Plus, in 2025. Yeah.
Is this our segue to Perfect Dark?
No, it can be. It can be.
Yeah, there you
Why
go.
not?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
perfect. Wasn't that the next thing on our run?
Yeah. So last thing we're going to talk about actually is Perfect Dark, and I want to be clear on this one. So, let's start with the story itself. So the initiative, studio, Microsoft first party or Xbox first party, came out and announced this week that they have basically brought on Crystal Dynamics, a very well-known kind of tenured studio, to help
They have a good
develop.
relationship with for a
That
lot
they have
of
a good relationship with for Daryl Gallagher and a number of other reasons, right? To help develop Perfect Dark. Now, the context here, I want to be clear that, as soon as this happened, as soon as anything happens with a PlayStation studio or an Xbox studio, just people run rampant, right? With rumors and speculation and nonsense. And it's like, let's understand that none of us sitting here, none of us talking about it, truly know the extent of what's happening here, right? We don't. Yeah, of course. So we don't know, right? So all I wanted to make the point is this was an interesting announcement. Many people were saying, well, this makes initiative redundant, and what's the point of building a studio if they need help with the game, and all these types of things. But I was trying to look at it from the perspective of Crystal Dynamics, as I understand it anyway. Someone can correct me. As a studio of over 300 people,
Correct.
They are very tenured. They have developed some fantastic games in the past. I don't know if Luke's still in the chat. Avengers may not be one of them. But like Tomb Raider reboot and others, right? And more than that, right? The tenure is really key. The initiative has taken on a classic IP. I wouldn't necessarily say a beloved IP, but a classic IP. And this is expected to be a big new kind of reboot for Xbox Game Studios, right? This game is supposed to be like a tentpole title in the future, one of many, obviously. And they're building the talent from the ground up for the initiative, right? People forget that this was a new studio that was formed and they're still hiring for. Like literally, they're still hiring people. So why not bring on help from a well-known tenured studio loaded with talent to help build this game? I think that could be a very good thing. The only thing that's peculiar to me about it is there are tons of studios in the gaming industry that are kind of third-party co-developers, right? They get hired out, contractors basically, to help develop games. Well, Crystal Dynamics is a developer owned by Square Enix, right? Or part of that parent company. It seems kind of strange that they're not a company that would typically just partner with another company to make a game in that vein, especially being Xbox first party. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this spells something bigger or if this was just something unique that kind of rose because Gallagher obviously used to be a key at Crystal Dynamics, and there are just conversations that led to one thing or another. I don't really know, but it's interesting if nothing else.
I think it's probably just staffing, right? Like that's what I took it to be, because I think the initiative only has something like 90 employees, and they're making a massive game. Crystal Dynamics has a huge staff and probably aren't using all of it on maybe they had openings for a current project, and so rather than staffing up the initiative, hiring 200 extra people to build this game, they just borrowed from another studio. This also isn't that uncommon a practice. Like, lots of studios outsource or get help from other. I mean, I guess I hear about it a lot because Destiny is a game that has had like a ton of different studios chip in over the years and help out with and that sort of thing. And the studio Microsoft acquired last year or 2 years ago, Ninja. They
Ninja Theory.
Yeah, Ninja Theory. They also they were a studio that basically only worked on other people's games. They just outsourced their parts of their own staff. Hellblade was made with like the 30 employees who weren't busy working on other projects for other people. So it's a pretty common practice, and it strikes me as something that probably just came down to staffing, and I guess it worked out. But I'm very much not surprised to see so much controversy over something that seems to me to be fairly like straightforward industry practice. But that's just
I think you're thinking of it logically. So there's your first mistake. But you made the point perfectly. Initiative. Well, we both kind of said it right. Big IP. It's supposed to be a AAA game. AAA games in the modern space and the expectations, especially for a first party IP, are huge. You're not building that with 90 people. You're just not. But it also doesn't make sense to just quickly staff up the 300 people, because that's not the intelligent way to organically grow a studio. So again, just building upon the foundation that Crystal can help provide seems like the obvious solution. I don't know, Eric, did you kind of get any other sense than what we're saying, or are you kind of on the same path?
Kind of the same path, and leading into what you initially said, it's one of those things like we just don't know enough. It's just we've never seen it like this, where two companies make like a press release announcement that they're doing this, and it's not uncommon, like Travis said, for a developer to bring in outside outsourced help, right? I mean, Square has done that with other companies like themselves, to get something across the goal line. I know people like to be first with a reaction, and typically the reaction is always, well, why does, XYZ have to is doing this? They just, especially in the Microsoft's case, like they're $1 billion or $1 trillion corporation who just got all these studios. Why do they need to outsource for their quadruple A, house? And I'm like, well, they're still a small house as far as we know, right? So I don't know. I mean, we don't know the inner workings of what the other studios are working on. Yes, they just acquired them, but as far as I know, aren't those studios making games themselves? So maybe they don't have the ability to just jump off on something. Or I would imagine they're not sitting around waiting for an assignment. They're probably busy doing things too. So that might be part of it. Another part might be the world is in a weird, different place than the last 2 years. We're not the same planet right now with this pandemic. So maybe the idea is we're a little behind, and this is the best way for us to do this. And Gallagher called in a favor. He has ties, he has roots, and maybe in his mind it was like, this is the best way for us to go about, making sure this game is back on schedule and doing what it needs to do.
That's a fair point as well.
Maybe the scope of the game
it might be really hard to hire during COVID as well if they're trying to staff up for the initiative.
And this is getting a little too corporate, I realize, but I'm part of these conversations in my line of work, which is, so much of this work is being done from home right now. And Initiative being a studio in Santa Monica, it's much more difficult to find people locally than it is, either nationwide or globally in terms of talent, right? So if Crystal Dynamics, if say 100 people, 200 people, whatever, if that studio were set up in a very good position already, working from home and able to move into new work, to your point, Eric, that's far easier to bring on board, far faster and far more efficient than, say, trying to continue to hire people quickly in like a local area in Santa Monica as well. So I think probably all those fundamental reasons are at play here. My point being in all of this conversation is I don't think there's anything nefarious here. I don't think there's anything, initiatives failing or, all these ridiculous things. I think it's just part of game development.
I will say there have been rumors for like 6-7 years, like a really long time, that Crystal Dynamics and Microsoft have had like repeated conversations about acquisition and that sort of stuff. And
Don't you bring up that word on this show, Travis.
I'm just the reason I bring this up is because I'm surprised that wasn't the first thing people started talking about, rather than worried about Perfect Dark. I would have been like, well, that's a pretty cushy relationship. Like, that's another indicator. Like, there have been so many rumors over the years that Microsoft is trying to acquire Crystal Dynamics or their IPs and stuff like that they were going to buy Tomb Raider. And it's just like, that's what I thought would have been like the like up in arms, like, oh, or like some stuff's going down. But instead it was just the exact opposite. It was like, oh, Microsoft's in trouble. They're about to go out of business. They're starting to sell their fax machines on the front lawn.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's like necessarily a nefarious thing. And again, we just don't know enough. But it's just, I think the thing that's odd is, it's definitely, it's like, again, you didn't have it on your bingo card that, the initiative would be partnering with Crystal Dynamics to partner up on a Perfect Dark game. Because you think first party, you think this and that. But again, they're two big entities and they're putting it out on Front Street. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to partner up, and try to make something together or get across the finish line, whatever they need to do. The bottom line is, let's hope that they pull it off and make a great game. But I know the bubble tends to go back to, this is good ammo for, the war. So we're going to go to doom and gloom first.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So when I saw it, I was puzzled. I was like, oh, so initially, you may think, well, what's going on there? But then you sit on it for a while and you say, what are all the variables of what could be happening without having all the pieces and the information to form a complete opinion on it. So I didn't go out to talk about it, and I think the way we're touching on it is basically all you can really do is just kind of say what you think about it,
Yeah. And again, I would argue that you are thinking with logic, and that should not be welcome in this environment, sir.
There's too much illogical stuff in life right now. Let's just keep some logic on things.
Yeah. But no, you guys' point, that's exactly why this is the last thing we're touching on, because this is all you can do. There's no other true information out there to talk about. You just kind of take the pieces that we all are aware of, to your point, pandemic, game development, staffing, what's required for AAA, and piece them together, and that's what you get. There's not much else to say on it.
It's also damned if you do, damned if you don't, because they announced what they're doing. So they put it out on Front Street, what they're doing. But if they would have just went and done it and then it leaked, then it would have been like, oh, look at them hiding this from us. This is like,
they need help to build their game. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Dan?
No, I don't care.
I'm
Literally
don't care. I'm sure you've got some very deep thoughts and concerns here.
No thoughts, none whatsoever. Don't care. Show me the game when it's ready. I don't really, hire 15 other studios to help you out. I literally
Why are you
can't
on
care.
the show?
I can't care about this. It's the worst.
He doesn't care about anything.
I don't.
He's just
not
nihilistic.
this. No, it is what it is. I mean, David Gallagher has a relationship with him, or Daryl Gallagher. I'm sorry, and okay. That's it. I mean,
as sarcastic as Dan is being right now, and we're laughing, at the end of the day, the point he's making is actually valid, which is, at the end of the day, all that matters is the game.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
If this is what it takes to make a quadruple A game, cool, because it's going to be on Game Pass. It's an awesome IP, and I can't wait to play it. And that's really it.
Bottom line, if it comes out and it kicks ass, no one's going to be talking about the partnership.
Nobody's going to care. Nobody.
So
it's the same thing we always say. Yeah, the end product is what matters.
And with that, Ains, I will say, please come out and kick ass, because I don't need it to go the other way, where all people want to do is make YouTube videos. We knew it.
We knew it.
If the game's bad, everyone is going to say that this is why, right? They're going to point to this and be like, "Oh, it was troubled development. It was there all along." And then if it comes out as a great game, they'll be like, "Oh, well, they just had Crystal Dynamics bail them out."
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly, Travis.
Yeah. Those people don't deserve any of our time anyway. So.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
And they'll get none of it.
They just got like 30 seconds. It's already too much.
Not from Dan.
Dan wasn't having it.
Nope.
So. All right, guys. Well, I think with that, we will go ahead and close out the show. A couple things to be aware of. So we've got reviews coming this week. Like I said, Dan's reviewing Kina. I'm probably going to throw a review up for Tales of Iron, just like I said, smaller game. My video of the Johnny Silverhand statue is out there on the channel if you want to check that out. That yet the newest statue unboxing. Our newest contributor to Season Gaming, or maybe not our newest, one of our newest, Peter, he put his first article up this week, which is on his experience with streaming versus via xCloud or Xbox game streaming, and did some tests with different games and different hardware. You can check that out. I am going to be reviewing Far Cry. I don't know exactly what the embargo looks like that on yet. I know the reviews can't go out to October 6th, but I don't know. They said something about being able to post video and maybe some impressions ahead of time. So stay tuned. I'll give you an update on that next week, because believe it or not, that game's only 2 weeks away. And then just a reminder that we have a Discord out there now, Season Gaming. It's free to join. You can find the link right at the top of the site. Just come on in, chat with fine people. And lastly, we created, we hadn't done this prior, but we created a Bitcast Twitter account. So that is out. Yeah, so that is out there now. We'll get it out more widely. We've always kind of just used Season Gaming as its core, but now, we figured we'd have a Twitter account just for the podcast itself for people who may not necessarily follow all of Season Gaming. So please look that up. You can find it in my profile, SG's profile. It's out there. So
on my profile too.
On Travis's profile as well. So yeah, that is about it, guys. Anyone listening, thank you very much. For all of you listening on audio after the show, huge thank you to you. I don't know if anyone saw my post, but last week was, or the last, I should say, 14 days or so, the highest listener count we've had all year. So a lot of people tuning in on the audio side, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. Sorry for some of the shenanigans that occurred during the live show that may not come across on the audio show as well, but we do our best to keep it streamlined for you. So thank you very much. Everyone in chat, you guys have been awesome. Thank you very much. With that, Eric, man, absolute pleasure having you on. As always, you will be back in the future.
Thank you.
Want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me running around Twitter every now and again, EC Jaxson with an X. And you can also find me Wednesday nights on Brap Podcast and Tuesday nights on Gaming Perspective Podcast.
There you go. Travis?
Yeah, you can read my articles, reviews, and previews on IGN.com. I did 2 reviews this past week that are both live, and have a preview coming up on Wednesday that you'll be able to read or watch their videos. I also do a Destiny show every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and Bitcast here. Also, you should read Season Gaming's reviews. I hear they're good, except for Dan's. Don't read his.
Mine are the worst.
Oh, and you can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis. If you want to see me tweet about Fast and Furious and Star Wars. And
you get Fast and Furious and Destiny. That's about what you get.
And Star Wars. Don't forget.
And Star Wars. Okay.
Always Star Wars. Yeah.
All right. Yep. But as always, thanks for tuning in with us. That was Bitcast 172, and we will see you next Sunday. Peace.